Welcome, Reds, to the 100% United pod. I'm your host, TC, and here's your co-host, Scott. Hello, Scott. How are you?
Good, thanks. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. We'll touch on life without football later, as on today's show we'll look at missing United, missing football too, and we'll look at the latest transfer rumours around Old Trafford and round up all the other Manchester United news too. First, Scott, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has come out in the last couple of days saying United are well placed to make some big moves when things get back to normal. What are your main takeaways from that?
Hope, obviously. I'm a bit worried that the premium targets might not be able to be got without Champions League football, although we are, of course, in a Champions League place if the ban for City still goes ahead. So we're sort of so far away from anything being resumed right now that it's hard to take anything anyone says seriously.
Yes, I suppose it did echo our comments a few weeks ago on the pod saying that we might be, we're a financially stable and financial behemoth of the game. And whereas some clubs are going to be relying on TV money coming in year after year, United, we have a bigger pot, if you like. And if all transfer fees go down and all clubs are a little bit weakened, we will probably be strengthened when you compare us to the rest of the league and the rest of Europe as well, I think it'd be fair to say.
Yeah, unfortunately, I think we've got used to working within a model of not making Champions League football money, and the commercial revenue that we're getting from outside is obviously helping us at the moment, but other teams might not be able to boast such strength. So, not just being able to keep players on enormous wages right now when nothing's happening, but the chance of having a huge windfall in the summer and being able to pay these huge back fees that might be owed is certainly something that we might be able to prey upon.
If it even is the summer. I mean, we could be talking about an autumn transfer window, couldn't we?
Yeah, it's weird. I mean, who knows?
It really is weird. It was good that Ollie was saying that they are preparing, like we said. I mean, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to say, look, we haven't got any football. Let's prepare for when football starts again. But as we've said in past transfer windows, Woodward has said, we've only got a couple of months to get things done. And we've said, well, what about the other months of the year? So it's good that they are looking to prepare for when it does eventually get back to normal. If it's ever going to get back to normal, I suppose.
Well, yeah, it's funny you say that, that they have complained in the past that we've only had 2 months or 3 months to prepare and execute transfers. And now that we have so much time, and what are they doing if they're not preparing for the future? So there's really no excuse this time, is there?
I guess we're on really untrodden ground, aren't we? We're at a situation where we're very close to the end of this season. And this season might be played out, it might not be played out, as we'll touch on later. And we know a lot more about the squad than we would at the start of the season, for instance. And we do have a chance to put things together. It's a very unique situation, but I suppose all clubs are in the same situation. But you've got some people like Daniel Levy at Spurs saying that things aren't going to be the same. You can't be expecting us to splash the cash. So there's some clubs that are obviously looking at this as an excuse not to spend. But it seems like Ollie is saying, and Ollie, the orders normally come from above, that we are going to have cash to spend, which is a good sign. There are a couple of rumours about players leaving. Of course, the old rumour that's been going on for however many years now, Paul Pogba, AS over in Spain, quite a Real Madrid heavy newspaper, have been saying that Pogba deal is closer than ever to go to Real Madrid. He is going to push for a move to Real rather than Juventus. One thing I'd say is there's not too many players at Madrid that I would be fancying in terms of a swap deal. What do you think? I've got none spring to mind for me.
Yeah, I think your old mate Gareth Bale's going to be back in the mix, isn't he?
Oh, God, no, it's too late for
that.
that.
My God. I can't believe I just heard you said that.
The ship sailed, Scott. The ship sailed. Right. Yeah, I'm on the Sancho train now.
Yeah,
so
as are we all, yeah.
But yeah, is there anyone you can think of? Because I don't think Real are going to have the cash. Like we've said, Real have got so many players on the books. They've got so many players off on loan, on the books who they don't use, and they're going to have to get rid of. Is there anyone that springs to mind? I can't think of anyone.
Would you take Varane?
Yeah, I would take Varane, yeah.
There you go.
Good one. Yeah. Good one. Absolutely. I would take that at a drop of a hat.
Yeah. All right, next.
But he is a Zidane favourite, isn't he?
He is. And I think he'd probably be a big lure for Pogba, right, to have a compatriot there. I can't see this happening because Real Madrid are one of those teams who they rely so heavily on match day income, and for them to not be able to have that revenue right now is massive. And I see them in a situation that they're going to be getting rid of players instead of bringing players in. And as we've just touched on, we're not in a position that we're going to need to sell Pogba for 70, 80 million, something like that. We're still going to want 100 million plus. And can you really see Madrid spending 100 million in the next year? I don't know.
Who knows? I mean, they might go and ask the government for another loan like they did with the training
That's
ground or
true.
something like that.
That's true.
Like the Scousers have been doing.
Essential business.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
We'll touch on that later. Horrible stuff.
No,
The other big rumour is Jesse Lingard has been linked to Arsenal. Do you think he fancies another disco or what?
No, he's got bigger fish to fry, doesn't he? He already said no.
Yeah, he said he wants to fight for his place at United. Also, Everton have been linked to Jesse Lingard in the last few days as well. Apparently, Everton have got quite a lot of cash to spend. They're even being linked to our old fling Koulibaly.
Oh, yeah?
So we'll see about that. One signing United have completed is their Czech Youth International #1 keeper Radek Vitek from Sigma over in the Czech Republic. We've got a lot of keepers now, haven't we, Scott?
Unbelievable.
We've got David De Gea, we've got Romero, we've got Grant. First team, we've got Dean Henderson on loan, Kieran O'Hara on loan.
Pereira.
Yeah, Matej Kovac is another one. He's the under-23s keeper. We signed Nathan Bishop, and then we got 6 more on the books as well. I mean, we're collecting them, are we?
Yeah, what's going on with that?
One thing I'll say with keepers is that you can have all the talent in the world, but I'd say that the way you start your career has a massive... You start your first team career, your career in the limelight, has a massive effect on how it goes. You make a few bloopers and everyone gets their sort of the downer on you. And I don't know. I don't know why we've got so many keepers. Do you think we might be shedding some in the summer?
You'd probably think so, right? I mean, I was pretty surprised that Lee Grant signed an extension, if I'm honest. But yeah, it's strange. I mean, if you buy 6 strikers or you have 6 strikers on the books, at least you think, well, we can maybe play 3 at a time. But you can only play 1 keeper at a time, so it's a bit silly, isn't it?
And also with strikers, you can give them 20 minutes at the end, can't you?
Yeah.
You can give them a little run out and keep them happy. But with keepers, you can't really give them a run at the end, can you?
Yeah.
So the big transfer in, the rumours won't go away, Jadon Sancho. Now, there's been some papers who have been jumping on and saying the deal's done with Sancho. Now, Bild in Germany, which is quite a reputable outlet, has said we're front runners. We've been chatting to Sancho for months. Honigstein has said that as well. There's some people saying that if we get Champions League football, he'll come. If we don't, he won't come. And now they're saying that we promised him the number 7. We've promised he'll be the star man and he will come whether we get Champions League football or not. So, of course, the papers have not really got too much to chat about, so they'll fling anything and see what sticks. But it's a good sign that some papers are trying to get the jump on everyone, because normally when smaller outlets hear rumours, they try and say, right, it's a done deal. And then if it comes off, they can say, we were the exclusive, we said it first. So I think still all positive signs surrounding Jadon Sancho.
Yeah, I would say so. And it's one of those, it was sort of similar with Bruno Fernandes for me, that I wanted him so much as a player that just seeing stories of us linked with him and being the only club linked with him was just music to my ears, or whatever the equivalent for your eye is. So just seeing us as being the team, and every week you're seeing other teams are falling out and dropping out the race and this and that, it's good signs, right? But these are also the news articles that are saying that we're going to be offering him 400 or 290 grand a week or something like that. Now, as much as I want Jadon Sancho, I don't believe that his first contract at United will be anything like 280, 290, 400 grand a week, whatever it is. I think we've maybe learnt from Alexis Sanchez and seen not just the detriment of giving a player so much money, but also what it does to the rest of the squad. I don't think we're going to do that.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're spot on there. I think we have chucked massive contracts at people, and then of course in 2 years' time they come for a reload, don't they? They say, "Oh, can we discuss a new contract?" And then where do you go from there? He's already on 400,000.
Or they're out on loan and we're paying 80% of his wages. It's ridiculous.
It's mental stuff. I mean, we've still got the Alexis Sanchez problem hanging over us.
I think he's the 4th highest paid player at the club and he's not even playing.
It's mental. And I'm sure, we're saying he gets the number 7, he gets star man. I'm sure Sanchez was promised that he'd be the star man as well, but you've got to perform like the star man. And at the moment, that's playing better than Bruno Fernandes. So hopefully, if he wants to live up to that tag and come and wear the numbers...
I mean, they gave Sanchez a piano.
Oh, God. Oh,
what else you got to do?
I'd wipe that from my memory, Scott. I'd wipe that whole thing from my memory, really.
If Sancho shows up and there's not a grand piano sitting there, he's sitting there like, wait, I thought I was the main man.
So you weren't on the pod. I was going it solo when I discussed Sanchez is in line for a £1.2 million loyalty bonus when he comes back in the summer for staying a couple of years. What do you think of that one? No comment?
Oh, yeah. No comment.
Another plus point surrounding Jadon Sancho has got to be Borussia Dortmund are showing a big interest in Ferran Torres now.
I have to say, I'm sorry. Just while we're on Alexis Sanchez, the final straw, I actually unfollowed his dogs. Yeah.
Oh,
That was the final straw. I'd kept following them for a good 6 months, but I had to pull the straw the other day.
I got rid of them all months ago, mate.
Sorry.
Back on Jadon Sancho, though, really good point surrounding Borussia Dortmund is that they are showing a massive interest now in Ferran Torres.
Yeah.
So he's the under-21 Spanish right winger. Looks for a like-for-like replacement, 20 years old as well. And that is another big sign. United have been lightly linked with Torres, but over in Spain they're saying Dortmund are the real front runners. So that looks another good sign with Jadon Sancho. And that front three, that front four, that striking group would just be absolutely superb. With it, lovely balance, lovely pace, a lovely mixture of skill, creativity. Really something to look forward to.
Yeah, and you touched on a good point there that German teams are usually really efficient when it comes to transfers traditionally, and they usually replace players before they get rid of players. So to see them being linked to his replacement is always a good sign. I really like the look of Rashford and Sancho and Martial up top. It's just something that they can play everywhere, and it's something that I want to see so much that I'm trying not to get my hopes up too much, because I truly think that Champions League football will depend on us getting him, and I don't want to get my hopes up and then City get their ban overturned and then it all falls through.
Yeah, it's a good point, Scott. The fluidity that front three would have. I know a lot of people are watching lots of the old games now of United, and there were certain games where we set up a bit more rigid than other games, but the great Fergie teams, there was people popping up in all kinds of different positions in attack. Maybe in defence we had a structure, but the changing of wings, the popping up in different positions, just 10 minutes of changing positions just to keep the opposition, you go and test out the left back for a while. That was one of the hallmarks of his teams, and to have that creeping back into this modern team would be fantastic.
Yeah, 100%. And, Ollie Solskjaer was sort of in the forefront of that, watching even when Rooney and Ronaldo were coming through in 2006-07. And it's funny how it's just slowly but surely we were starting to see more of the Fergie hallmarks in Ollie's team. And it's just a shame that it all got disrupted. I mean, Marcus Rashford obviously getting fitter and fitter is going to be better for us, and Pogba as well, because there's no excuse now, right? Like, as soon as we resume football, Paul Pogba's got to be on the pitch.
Yeah, he's certainly been a lot more active recently, hasn't he?
Mm-hmm.
He disappeared off social media for a little while. He's been more active. Like I said a couple of weeks ago, he seemingly smoothed things out with Raiola and the club. You never know with a Pogba camp. You never know whether they're smoothing things out to look like they're being well behaved so that they can angle for a move, or whether it's because they want back in. You never know. And like I say, it's just been going on for too long.
Well, it's another thing as well that these loyalty bonuses, right? They kick in I don't know, end of July or something like. I think he signed beginning of August, right? So it'd probably kick in something around that. So he keeps everything sweet till then, and as soon as he picks up, God knows what that loyalty bonus would be. Oh, can you imagine?
Don't even start.
And then as soon as he does, he's on the phone to Raiola saying, "Come on, create another stink. Let's get out of here."
Yeah. Okay, so two names, obviously, Sergej Milinkovic-Savic and Thomas Partey, two midfielders being linked. Milinkovic-Savic would be more of a like-for-like replacement for Pogba. It just seems that every time the Pogba rumours come up, they pop up with him. But the Thomas Partey one has been circling a bit recently, and that's one move I would be particularly keen on. I think for the midfield, I'd like us to shore up the defensive part of the midfield first, let Bruno run free, and then maybe get Jack Grealish in as well, or a James Maddison, whatever they fancy. They're saying Grealish will be 60 and Maddison will be £80 million now. So, but I would rather a more defensive midfielder and let what we have flourish rather than focusing on an attacking one. What do you think?
I think you give Grealish a couple more weeks in quarantine, you'll get his value down at least another 10 million.
Yeah, we didn't have a chance to discuss that, did we? I was going a solo for that one as well. What do you make of that? Unbelievable, right?
It's great. Yeah. The worst thing was, of all the people to come out and say he shouldn't be doing that, Stan Collymore. I mean,
brilliant.
Get out. You've been up the M5 dogging round Watford for the last 25 years. Do you know what I mean? Like, you of all people can't talk about breaking rules. Unbelievable.
Oh, he does like to pontificate these days, doesn't he?
He's shocking. I actually got blocked from Stan Collymore years ago on Twitter.
I bet you did.
I don't even remember what I said. So I haven't been able. I just see snippets of him via TalkSport or this and that. But
do you think Jack Grealish has sent Kyle Walker a thank you card though after Kyle Walker upped him? Jack Grealish was only having a party. Kyle Walker invited two ladies of the night round for his party.
Well, it's funny as well, right, that now they're saying Southgate's telling Carl Walker he'll never play for England again. If they said the same to Grealish, this whole... Remember, he changed his nationality, didn't he? From Ireland to play for England.
Yes.
And then it would all be for absolutely nothing. It would be, I don't know, kind of funny to me.
Yeah, it would. And of course, it's easier to get rid of Walker, isn't it, than to get rid of Grealish.
Yeah, of course. Especially when you got Wan-Bissaka coming through.
Yeah, you know it.
Still hasn't got a cap.
He hasn't, has he?
No.
So look, it's been quite a while now since football went down. So the transfer rumours they are all to be taken with a pinch of salt. I think we don't even know when it will be kicking off again. Udinese director Pier Paolo Marino. Obviously, Udinese have a shared owners with Watford. So the same owners of Udinese own Watford too. And he said the Premier League are following the Belgian League's footsteps. And, well, he didn't specify whether we would null and void or, like the Belgian League did, is dish out the places you are for the end of the season. What do you think of that? Is he saying that we're going to null and void, or is he saying that we're going to hand out championships and relegations and whatnot?
Well, it's tough as well because the Premier League's been hit with huge financial worries now because they're going to owe all this money back to the TV revenue and this and that. So I think if they start dishing out champions and this and that, they're going to have to start dishing out prize money as well, right? If they just null and void it, let's all reconvene in August. We'll see you all in August kind of thing. And let's just carry on with it. I mean, obviously that's what I want because Liverpool are 25 points clear, but it's something that you've got to think about as well. Like, what are the implications about a team like Sheffield United who do have a game in hand, and with that game in hand could get into Champions League places, or with Aston Villa who are in the relegation zone but have a game in hand, or whatever it is.
Or Watford, who are in 17th place and they are only there on goal difference, right?
Yeah, something like that, right? There are too many implications. and what about the Scousers being 25 points clear? It's too much. So these days, kids get handed out awards for taking part. I think that's what we've got to do. We just got to take that example. Everyone gets an award for taking part. Good job, everybody. Well done.
Well done. Pat on the back. 30 more years.
Yeah. See you next year.
Yeah. How have you been finding it anyway, Scott? Of course, we haven't really had a chat about what life's been like without football. It's been eerie, hasn't it? Weird.
It has been weird. It was all planned, but I've moved across country and I had to drive 2,800 miles across country and everything was closed. It was really, really weird. And not having any sports, it's not just the entertainment and the having something to do once a week or twice a week, what have you, watching United. It's sort of the hourly checks you check on your phone to see if anything's going on. And just the excitement that United brings, or just that sports brings in general. I have watched a lot of old classic games. I've watched a few of the games from the 99 Champions League. The quarter-final away at Inter Milan was a great game. I've just watched a lot of old classic games and try to not read as much news because a lot of it's just fantasy stuff right now, right?
Yeah.
How about you?
Well, you left me going solo when you were doing your cross-country ride as well. That was weird.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Not having you about. Didn't enjoy that. But yeah, it's the funny thing is, right, is if you were going to say to all the people in the world who do like sport, you're going to be locked in your house for a month, 2 months, whatever it's going to be, they'd be like, well, at least I can watch the sport.
Yeah.
That'd be the thing, wouldn't it? That'd be at least, if you're going to be locked in the house, a lot of people's main entertainment is obviously sport. So yeah, it's been really strange. Really, I mean, it's almost like weekends and weekdays are all fused into one now. When you're on holidays, you know that there's going to be sport at the weekend. So it kind of just keeps that structure in your life. But yeah, it's really, really strange. It's going to be mayhem when it's back, isn't it? Old Trafford's going to be absolutely booming. Well, unless it's closed doors for a little while. But when the fans are allowed back, it will be. There will be new life bred into it, I'm sure. But yeah, really, really strange, I must say. And of course, I mean, life in general is strange at the moment, isn't it? There's nothing going on.
Yeah, I mean, this virus is just something that we've never experienced in our lifetime, right? Like, it's something they experienced back in 1918 in the Spanish flu or what have you, where it killed hundreds of thousands of people. But it's just something that we've never really experienced. And, if we start saying, well, okay, we can bring back football but play within closed doors, there's still at least 100 people in the stadium.
Yeah.
I don't know how many people the team brings, but there's also the officials. Of course, these games are going to be televised because what's the point of having them?
Yeah. So
that brings hundreds of people as well. And then, God forbid, one of them gets sick. And you're like, well, what was it all really for? If we're not if the PFA aren't actually in it for the players, then what are they in it for? It should be called the MFA, the Money FA.
It's gonna be like the old when we used to watch the youth games when they first started showing them, and you got the fixed cameras, just got the fixed sort of almost CCTV cameras. It's gonna be really weird. I mean, I was thinking about. I've obviously got younger members of my family. My little bro's just a teenager, and I was thinking. For him, first thing I thought was brilliant, no school, because the naughty schoolboy in me from back in the day. But then I thought, there's not just no football on the TV. There's also no senior powers. There's no going to the park for a kick round.
Yeah, there's nothing.
I mean, that was the biggest part of my childhood. Get back from school, grab some balls, get down the park. That was the first thing you did.
I bet you did.
I'll leave it out to you.
It's funny as well. That
sport balls.
Yeah, of course they are. My brother has 4 kids, right? And I was saying to him, it's funny, when we were kids, 6 months off would have been the best thing you would have hoped for. And now it's like the last thing you would possibly want, having 4 kids.
Yeah.
I feel for him. And not to mention there's hundreds of people dying a day, thousands of people dying around the world every day.
Of course.
And I mean, he's our rival manager, but Pep Guardiola lost his mother yesterday. And when it comes to things like that, you're like, is football really important?
Of course. No, I know. And we do keep doing the pod, and we do keep chatting about football because it's what we do. But of course, we know that the health of the world comes first, and it might be a long while. And then also, we're lucky enough to be with not alone at home at this point in time. But there's some people who live alone. Just think of the guys who rely on nipping down the pub to have a chat with the boys, watch a bit of football, and then come home. They're stuck at home now. So, you've got a massive degree of loneliness. Yeah. And on top of that loneliness, you've also got no sport as well. So really, really weird. We will see.
Are you Kyle Walker's agent? Because that's exactly what his agent's been saying to the press.
Is that right?
Yeah. Everyone suffers from loneliness.
Does he live on his own, does he?
Yeah. He's currently out of work. Yeah.
I mean, did he not see the fallout from Grealish the week before and think, come on, this is probably a bad idea?
He'd already had them booked.
Can't cancel it.
Yeah.
You get how many percent do you have to pay if you cancel?
I don't know, but you definitely don't get your deposit back, don't you? No chance.
I mean, the footballers have been getting a bit of slamming. The government.
Yeah, he has been getting slammed. I think you got to choose better words, TC.
They just come out,
I know.
The government were having a go at the footballers, which I thought was a bit distasteful, actually. Just because you're earning so-and-so amount, you shouldn't be forced to be giving up cash. And of course, there's been a 30% wage cut discussed. And then the PFA have obviously hit back, saying that the tax that wouldn't be paid from that 30% would be so monumental that the NHS and the government would actually be losing out on money. What do you make of the government getting involved in that, and then the PFA warring with the Premier League as well? It's sort of seemed a bit out of place, but obviously football makes a great story, doesn't it?
To be honest with you, TC, when you live in the States, there's so much going on here that being a United fan's a full-time job as it is, but in order to read the news from everywhere, it's too much. So I picked my battles. I was obviously terribly upset to see Boris Johnson go into intensive care. I hope he gets better. And, the world's in such a weird time at the moment. Also, a lot of it is just people forecasting and fantasizing about worst-case scenarios. And that's the last thing you need to read in your everyday life.
Yeah, and that puts us on nicely, actually, to the club's furloughing non-playing staff. Spurs and Newcastle led the way. Were led with a storm of criticism came their way.
Wow. So, I mean, this has happened at the worst time for Spurs, right? Because they're still trying to pay off this huge stadium. I mean, no wonder Levy came out and said that these large transfer fees are going to be a thing of the past, etc. Because they're trying to pay off hundreds of millions of pounds. And they actually structured their loan so they would pay it back really quickly because they thought they'd be generating so much revenue, match day revenue. And now that stopped, they're in a terrible time. At least, you might complain that Old Trafford's a bit rickety, but at least it's all paid for.
Yeah, and then you got Jose Mourinho doing a 3-man training session on the hills the other day. Do you see that?
I told you they'd be fed up with him soon, didn't they? Didn't I?
And
they're not even playing, and they're fed up with him.
Yeah, I know. And then unfortunately, Liverpool have joined the crew and started furloughing non-playing staff. They've actually done a U-turn now. because they've realised how bad an idea it was. Now, the thing here is that people have got to remember it's not the government's money that goes the 80% to paying staff. It's the people's money. We've given the money to the government, and then the government then dishes it out how they see fit. So it's a real bad idea. And when you think about
if they had come out a few weeks earlier and announced £44 million losses, then fine, you can understand it. But to announce £44 million profits, the largest profits they'd ever seen, and then come out and say, but we're gonna kick all the non-playing staff to the curb for the minute, is horrific. It's terrible. Horrific decision. And I'm glad that they got called out for it.
Yeah, me too. And the good thing is United have said they're definitely not going to furlough any staff. They were the first club to come out and say they're actually going to pay the match day staff for the matches that they would have been staff for, and they were going to double pay them. So then if the matches do go ahead on different dates, then United are going to pay them for that as well. So a nice gesture for United. And we've also been looking to help the NHS as well, teaming up with City, normally something that I wouldn't condone whatsoever. But in this time, Manchester obviously as a whole benefits more from United and City.
Yeah, when there's no football being played, the rivalry's much less, isn't it?
Yeah, so that's it's good stuff from United, and good to see. Look, you think about the people at the top of the club making the decisions, and you just can't fathom how Liverpool thought that was a good idea. Save £1 million here, but then lose however much in goodwill, in PR. They'll have a lot less people saying dish them the title now as well. That's a good thing.
Yeah, and they'll be wearing T-shirts next time saying that it was a good idea.
Well, the thing that I was shocked at is that Spirit of Shankly, their official voice of the supporters, were sent a letter to Liverpool asking all these questions and basically questioning why they're doing something so morally wrong. And I was thinking, they can't be the official voice of the Liverpool fans, can't they? Because you remember, it must have been a good few years ago now, when they had one of their special nights that they do, when they all come around and sing with a guitar. And they were singing blooming proper Munich songs all the way through, all joining in, not just a couple here and there. And they're the official spokesman for the Liverpool fans. Can you believe it?
Yeah, I can. Yeah. I mean, when you see a circus, expect some clowns.
I can't add anything to that. Anyway, thanks for joining us again today. Get over to our Instagram and follow us at United100 Podcast for all the latest podcast news. Subscribe, rate and review wherever you get your podcasts. And remember, we're on Spotify and Apple Podcasts too. We'll be back in a few days with another legend pod. Anyone in particular you'd like to do next week, Scott?
Ooh, yeah, I've got the one.
Who's that?
He's a gingerhead British legend of United. And I'm not talking about David Moyes.
So a Paul Scholes special pod, is it, next couple of days?
Big time.
Fantastic. Cheers for company, Scott.
Thank you, TC.
Cheerio, Reds.
Ta-ra.